Early on the Thursday before Old Home Week, a boat steals its way into the harbor at Borden. Its cargo hurries ashore, mostly trucks bringing what the island needs from the mainland.
Oh, we left Montreal about 10:30 this morning, Montreal time.
Blois McPhail pulls Ronnie Gass's rig into the weigh scales a couple of kilometers up the road. He's got horses on board, and they're bound for the Gold Cup and Saucer.
A long day, but we had no problems. Things went well.
The trucking shouldn't bother this fellow that much. Not near as much as bother the other horse.
Mike McDonald is at the barn to meet the animals, just checking to make sure the trip turned out right.
Oh, Gimbal. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Oh.
Mike McDonald has won more Gold Cups than anybody.
Okay.
4, in fact.
Here they come on home now. Who's got the lick in the scratch? It's Bentall Rainbow.
He won twice with a horse named Bentall Rainbow in 1975 and here 2 years later in the mud. He also won with a speedster called Pearl's Falcon in '84 and again in '85 with a legendary maritime horse, Winner's Accolade.
Winner's Accolade comes home to win the Gold Cup and Saucer.
This time he's brought 2 entries from Montreal. Gimbal is a 4-year-old. The other is this year's hope for a 5th Gold Cup. A horse called Southern Governor, a 6-year-old who blazed over maritime racetracks when he was here a month and a half ago. But right now, Mike McDonald is worried.
He was awful good this spring, and then when I got trucking him around the country, he got sick there for a while, but I think he's coming back to himself a little now. You know, he's not like a real strong horse as far as, you know, trucking and racing goes, but he's a very fast racehorse.
His chances to win this year may not be the best, but they are there. And what's more, Mike McDonald wouldn't miss this race for anything. He's an island horseman living and racing in Montreal. The Charlottetown Driving Park and the Gold Cup and Saucer means a chance to come home.
When I started in the business, I always liked to have a horse in the Gold Cup, and then I started to get a few horses that were half decent. I started racing in the Gold Cup, and then just seemed to, at every year, pretty near I had a horse that was good enough to go in it. And years when I didn't have a horse, you know, that was good enough, I got horses like from George Canning, Winner's Accolade, and Pearl's Falcon from another trainer, and I just kept coming back, and I was lucky enough to get this horse this year and Gimbal, so I thought I may as well try them here this year.
He comes to win the race. He enjoys winning the race, and he adds a lot to our Old Home Week. Other people, as a result of Mike McDonald's keenness, come as well prepared or try to be as well prepared as he is.
The other horsemen speak highly of Mike McDonald. Words like intense and committed roll off their tongues almost as easily as his horse takes to the pace. Friday is training day. Bright and early, Governor, as Mike calls him, is on the track behind Doc Moore's place in Milton. Here, the first evaluations are made about his stride, about his physical well-being, and about his behavior. It's gut instinct work, and Mike McDonald has a feeling for it.
Well, you know, he seems sharp enough, but I imagine the only reason he's sharp is because he's here at the farm. Like, even if he was tired, he'd still get worked up here anyway. But he seems good and sound and everything.
McDonald has made a living at the race game, and he knows the fortunes of one horse are too unpredictable to count on. Friday, Gimbal, the second horse, has turned out to loosen up. Mike McDonald has a look at his ride Saturday night in Gold Cup and Saucer Trial 1. He may be looking at an even bet.
Oh, for sure, the horse that's racing the best right now is Steve B. Down. You know, in a race like this, anybody can win it. Luck has a lot to do with how you do in the final, because you could have the best horse in the race, and for one thing, if you draw the hind tier, then you don't have any control at all over what you do. If he's right, he'll make a good account of himself.
Post call. It's a pretty familiar sound, the Charlottetown Driving Park, but on the first Saturday of Old Home Week, it's a signal. And for island horsemen like Mike Mcdonald, it's a signal that the quest for the greatest prize of all begins, the Gold Cup and Saucer.
Mike is always a threat whenever he comes into a racetrack. He has a good stable and a good reputation in Montreal, and down in the Maritimes here.
Steve Mason is also a threat to win the Gold Cup and Saucer. He drove Steve B. down to Victory Lane in Summerside's Governor's Plate about a month ago. The time was 1:58 and 4. By Maritime standards, that's very quick.
Number 3, Steve B. Down.
Go ahead, Ronnie. Just get him ready.
Mike Mcdonald knows Steve B. Down all too well. And just before race time on Saturday night, well, he looks a little nervous. Probably anxious is a better word. Anxious to qualify Gimbal for the final. Gimbal looks good as he warms up. He shows speed in a practice mile after race 7. Maybe the people notice. Mike Mcdonald does.
Yeah. If he gets away from the gate, he should be all right, I think.
Time for a newspaper mug shot before the race. Then onto the track and the post parade.
One is Gimbal, owned by Michael McDonald, Dr. David Goodrow, and Dr. James Zeroni. Your driver, Mike McDonald.
Steve Mason parades his horse with a quiet confidence.
I guess the only thing you can do is wait till they say go and see what happens after that.
Here they come. They're off and pacing Gimbal quickly.
Off the first turn, Gimbal takes the lead from his position on the rail. Steve B. Down tucks in behind. Behind both horses, though, disaster. Glengyle Major and the Papermaker both go for the same spot on the track. There's an upset, and Glengyle Major breaks his leg. Meantime, Mike McDonald and Gimbal still lead at the half. Glengyle Major lays fatally injured at the 8th marker. McDonald and the leaders avoid the chaos. Crooked Tree, who had thrown its rider in the original upset, plows right into it. By some miracle, Crooked Tree survives with just minor cuts. Gimbal and Steve B. Down continue to battle in a tarnished race.
It's Gimbal up on the outside. Steve B. Down is coming on. Steve B. Down and Gimbal neck and neck. Right down to the wire. That's gonna be Steve B. Down and Gimbal spiking hot the Papermaker. That's close for 3rd and 4th.
Steve Mason takes his horse to the winner's circle to claim Trial 1 and the lion's share of $5,000 purse money. Still, it's a hollow sort of victory.
It's an unfortunate race to win. It's a sad race to win, you know, because, you know, I feel bad for Jody Hennessy and losing his horse. He's a nice horse, and I respect the horse quite well.
For what?
Gimbal and Mike McDonald didn't win this one, and really, they didn't expect to. Mike is already looking ahead to Trial 2 on Monday night.
I mean, you know, he didn't get beat cheap. He got beat by a good horse. Well, the other horse is a much better horse than this horse, if he's right. And I hope he's right.
That night, Glengyle Major was destroyed. The next morning, the owners, Madreen and Jody Hennessy, remember their racehorse. Jody has a broken wrist from the accident, and right now, it doesn't seem to matter.
I can't explain the feeling for the horse. My wife and I had no children, and this was her horse, and he was just like a child to us. He meant everything to us.
You always look forward to see what Mike was bringing down. It was something to look forward to. You always wondered how fast they were, what they looked like, and Mike is not disappointed at the driving park in the last 10, 12 years. He's an island boy, started here in Charlottetown, went to Montreal, did well at Blue Bonnet, still doing well, and he doesn't forget his roots.
Just like hockey or anything else, you know, when it gets in your system, it's hard to get out, you know. A lot of people, when they get around the horses, you know, it's kind of like an addiction. They used to stay right at it. If I had, I don't have, but if I had somewhere else to drive this Saturday, I wouldn't be there. I mean, I'd be here, that's for sure.
So many things have to be right in order to win the Gold Cup and Saucer. One, there has to be a good relationship between the horse and the driver. Another are the track conditions. Some horses like to run in dry weather, others prefer the mud. But most importantly is the horse's ability to win. Mike Mcdonald knows Southern Governor has the speed to win. In Monday night's trial, too, he would find out if his horse had the will to win. He doesn't say much, except with his eyes, but Southern Governor knows what he's thinking. Governor is expected to do well in this trial because Mike Mcdonald doesn't come home every August to lose.
He wouldn't have been your ideal horse to chase.
Surprisingly, Mike Mcdonald is more relaxed as Trial 2 approaches. Then again, his horse is the favorite. The tote board says that, and the other drivers know Mike has some speed in front of him.
7, Southern Governor. On by Elliott Sorella, Duvernay, Quebec. Mike Mcdonald in the bag.
A lot of people reading their programs before this one. Southern Governor is the favorite, but Balmaghie Breeze has been running well. And Steve Mahar, the leading maritime driver, is in the bike.
Here they come.
Off the top, Mahar takes Balmaghie Breeze to the lead. He's on the rail. Mike and Governor go wide. Coming from the outside 7th position, they've got to get to the top, and fast. By the half, he's there. Things look good for Mike and Governor, but from his perch above the track, Kevin Gallant describes a surprising development.
It's Southern Governor going to the top. Racing second, Balmaghie Breeze, 58-4 by the half. Airy Sam by the 5/8. Southern Governor on top. Joe drives up 2 on the outside. Balmaghie Breeze, Mountain Swinger drives wide in 4. They race down the back stretch going by the 3/4. Joe is going to the top. Southern Governor second, a Mountain Swinger on the outside. Balmaghie Breeze looks for racing room. Toddy Point is coming up on the outside, now 5th. They have an 1/8 of a mile left to go. 1:29-1 by the 3/4. It's Joe on top. Has it 5-3. Southern Governor, Mountain Swinger. Toddy Point is coming on. They swing for home. Joe on top. Has it 5-3. They'll battle it out for second and third. Joe wins Gold Cup and Saucer Trial 2. Southern Governor second. Balmaghie Breeze third. Up for 4 is Mountain Swinger.
Joe, for the second straight start, has set a personal mark. This time it's 1:59-1, the fastest mile of the year at the CDP. Both times a crafty Gary McDonald was aboard.
This horse is a lot stronger and ruggeder this year, I think, than he was last year. I never drove him before, but just the trip he went tonight, he was first over at the half, the last half out. After I got out there, I just thought I'd set and see if I could get a 4, and up the backside he felt pretty good, so I sent him along and he just drove on.
Mountain Swinger and Balmaghie Breeze also qualify for the final. But right now, Mike McDonald is relieved. Relieved because even from the 7th position, Southern Governor lived up to his billing.
I had to put a Murphy blind on his bridle so he couldn't see the carnival, and I was scared of him making a break, so I didn't want to really rush him out of there, and then he got parked. He got parked over the half, and they went pretty good at the half, but he raced a lot better like than he has his last couple of starts. I think he'd be, pretty good by Saturday night. He should be real good.
Who's the competition in the final now, Gary?
I believe they're all competition.
I liked it since he was small. I like horses a lot and stuff.
He's an awful good groom, Ronnie. He works hard at it, and he does everything. He's had this horse since we first got him, and he's looked after him every day since we've had him, and he does a real good job on him.
Ronnie McDonald is no relation to Mike McDonald, the man he works for.
Pretty near sure I ain't.
Just the same, he's got horses in his blood. He's meticulous around the barn. And while Mike's out on the track getting the feel of Gimbal, Ronnie's making sure Governor looks good for the boss. Someday this groom will be a driver and a trainer. Right now, he's learning the trade from one of the best in the business.
It's kind of like what I'm doing right now, working for Mike. I think he's good to work for and stuff.
Out on the track, Mike is thinking about Saturday night. Since both Gimbal and Governor have qualified for the big race, he's had to make a decision. All along, he's believed Southern Governor is the better horse. He'll ask his brother Paul to drive Gimbal. There's only one thing left to worry about now. It's something Mike McDonald can't control. he doesn't want an outside post position for the big race.
When they draw the positions, you know, there'll be some horses, maybe mine will be one of them, that just won't have a chance after the draw, you know, because on a half-mile track, when you draw bad, like I said, especially a trailing position, and someone else decides how your race is going to go for you.
Good evening. My name is Kim McIsaac, and I'm happy to represent Southern Governor. Leaving from post position 7.
It's probably the worst news possible for Southern Governor. The saving grace is most of the other favorites fared no better in the draw, except that is for the winner of Trial 1, Steve B. Down.
Post position number 3.
As it is with every Gold Cup, Lady Luck has played her hand. But as any driver, any groom will tell you, anything can happen in a horse race. The biggest night of the year at the Pari-Mutuels is always Gold Cup and Saucer Night. And by the number of dollars flying into the wickets, it could be the biggest night ever. It's been a good week at the track. The weather's been almost perfect. They'll bet more than $1 million. And Mike McDonald feels good to have been a part of it.
The track's doing a lot better. The bet's way up, and you know they're going to have a record-setting year this year, I'd say. Even in Montreal, everybody knows about this race, and half the people that work at Blue Bonnets won't be there this weekend because they'll all be here.
That's where you wore it most of the time, wasn't it? Yeah, up there. Yeah, right in that top hole. Yeah.
For Mike McDonald, there's not much thinking left to do on race night. The most important race comes just once a year. And coming from post position 7, he's got a problem before it even starts. He wants to win, and Mike McDonald maintains an element of hope.
Hopefully he's sharp. He hasn't been as sharp like the last 2 or 3 weeks as he has been, but if he's right, he'll make a good account of himself.
The 6 that have a legitimate shot at it can pace between 58 and 59, and when you get 5 or 6 horses across the wire in that kind of a time, fans aren't going to forget it, and that's what it's shaping up as to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first entry in tonight's classic is the only female horse of the group. I introduce Charlottetown Hunter River native Earl Smith from post number 1. Let's meet Mountain Swinger. Next, we have a horse whose finishing kick will be a factor when they swing for home this evening. And tonight, Crapo Reinsman Boyd McDonald pins his hopes from post position number 2. I introduce Spike It Hot. Island-bred horses have had their shots at this race, but only 1 in 28 years has won it. Tonight, this horse looms as the next. Stevie Mason will guide from post number 3. Let's meet Steve B. Down. The Charlottetown Driving Park's top winning dash driver of 1987 looks to add to his total tonight as Paul McDonald steers from post 4, Gimbal. Another Maritime bred leaves from post 5. His driver won this event in 1981 with Henry Butler. And tonight, the man they call Stevie Wonder, Steve Maher, looks for a repeat tonight like in 1981 as he reigns from post 5. Let's meet Balnaghy Breeze. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the island connection of driver Gary McDonald and his mount, Ojo. Charlottetown's own Michael McDonald, who has won this event 4 times, brings home from Montreal the Elliott Sorella-owned Southern Governor. Last but by no means least is another horse carrying the hopes of island breeding. The trailing post will be to his advantage as Island boy Winston Soupy Campbell comes home. State Maple Grove Shadow. 8 horses, Gold Cup and Saucer. Here they come. They're off and pacing. Steve B. Down, Southern Governor goes to a break. As they leave the gate, Stevie Down going for the early lead. Gimbal racing up on the outside second. Racing it along the rail third, a Mountain Swinger. Balmagy Breeze up on the outside in 4. They're racing to the opening quarter. Stevie Down. A Gimbal drives at him on the outside. Neck and neck as they move to the opening quarter. Up on the outside, Gimbal's going to the front. Stevie Down second. Mountain Swinger a tight third. Maple Grove Shuttle racing in 4. Balmagy Breeze in 5. Ojo from 6. Well back after break. Southern Governor. Spike It Hot. They were by the opening quarter. 28 and 2. Off the top turn they come. It's Gimbal with the lead up front. Stevie Down racing second. A Mountain Swinger third. Maple Grove Shuttle fourth. From 5, Balmagy Breeze, Ojo, well back, Southern Governor, and the Spike It Hot. They're now halfway home. Your leader up front is Gimbal. Stevie Down goes at him on the outside second. Mountain Swinger racing third, fourth outside, Maple Grove Shadow. 59 seconds flat by the half. They move into the turn going by the 5/8. It's Gimbal with the lead up front. Stevie Down on the outside. Second, Mountain Swinger out the rail. Third, Maple Grove Shadow on the outside in 4. Balmagy Breeze on Joe. Down the back stretch, moving by the 3/4 mile mark. It's a Gimbal on top. Stevie Down's on the outside. Second, Mountain Swinger looks for racing room. Third, Maple Grove Shadow's gonna tip 3 wide. Here comes Balmagy Breeze. 1:29 by the 3/4. They make the final turn for home. It's a Gimbal on top. Stevie Down's coming up on the outside. It's Gimbal. It's gonna be Gimbal. It's Gimbal and Paul McDonald. Gimbal wins the Gold Cup and Saucer. Maple Grove Shadow second. It's a toss-up for 3. The winner of the 1987 Gold Cup and the Saucer, Gimbal.
When we got the front there, it was kind of a stiff quarter, and I kind of backed him off a little bit, and Stevie Down, the horse to beat, kind of moved early on me, and I kind of hit him there, like on the outside, and I was backing into him. He just drove on me through the stretch. He had lots of horse left. Stevie goes, I don't know much about the horse, but he's some kind of an animal anyway.
Is this the biggest race for an Islander to win?
Yes, it is. The biggest race for me to win, I think, of any race. I always like to win this from home, you know.
While Paul, his brother, celebrated his first Gold Cup victory, Mike McDonald returned to Merrill McLean's barn and thought about next year, and maybe his 5th.
He made a break, and it was unfortunate, but, you know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I really enjoyed coming home this year because, like I said, you know, the betting was up, the whole atmosphere was good, all the people. You could just see around here this year, the people around the track did a really terrific job. Just everything here this week was so much better than it has been the last few years, and everybody was hyper, and it's the first time I've seen the crowds used to see, like, you know, when you were growing up, when you were a kid. Other years, there's always something missing, but this year, I know it has to be the most successful Old Home Week for years and years, and it just showed, you know, this year what Old Home Week and racing in general all across Canada and the United States can be like. I mean, Charlottetown showed them how to get things going and move the industry ahead, and you know, it'll be better for me and everybody else in it if they keep putting on shows like this.
And it was good to be home.
Yeah, it was.
Anything can happen in a horse race, and it couldn't have been more true than at Old Home Week 1987. Mike McDonald brought 2 horses here from Montreal. Problem was, he was on the horse in the Gold Cup and Saucer that didn't win. On the horse that won was his brother, Paul McDonald. And really, that's what Old Home Week is all about, keeping it in the family on Prince Edward Island. At the Charlottetown Driving Park, I'm Scott Russell for CBC Sports.
It was awful good this spring, and then when I got trucking him around the country, he got sick there for a while, but I think he's coming back to himself a little now. Go ahead, Ronnie, just get him ready.
Battling out for second and third. Ojo wins Gold Cup and Saucer. Trial to Southern Governor second. 8 horses, Gold Cup and Saucer. Here they come.
You know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.